So much of the discussion today has been about rebuilding for businesses in Nigeria and helping them recover from the violence that we've seen emanating from the NSARS protests. So what role does public policy play in all of this? Our guest, of course, Ugo Aliogo, is a public policy analyst. And we're going to talk about this, how far public policy can go in the rebuilding effort. So Ugo, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So from a public policy standpoint, is Nigeria well positioned to aid SMEs across the country following the crisis that we've taken note of?
Yes, Nigeria is well positioned to aid SMEs in the country. They will have the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, and then there is the 2.3 trillion stimulus package launched by the Federal Executive Council in July after the after the lockdown of the COVID-19. So I think these are stimulus packages that government can look into and see how they can support some of these SMEs whose shops were vandalized by these hoodlums. And then yesterday, Access Bank began the disbursement of 50 billion naira interest-free loan. That's a step in the right direction. So government can also see how they can help these SMEs whose shops and then they were looted. And then they also look at tax. For some of these SMEs that were affected, government can look at reducing their tax payments. Maybe the tax for some of these SMEs, maybe it's 20,000 naira. For instance, government can say, okay, you can be paying 10,000 naira because they are starting from the scratch and everything has been lost. There's a lot of investment that has been made. They've employed people. They've lost a lot. So it's to start from the scratch. And in starting from the scratch, government has to put up some measures to assist them to begin from afresh again.
All right, great stuff, Ugo. So you seem to have a lot of confidence in the economic sustainability plan, but I mean, much of that, as far as the funding is concerned, there's questions around that. Then also, reducing tax. So Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio is about 6%, right? It's in single digits. Your South Africa, your Ivory Coast, those are in double digits. Is it wise to reduce tax for certain businesses at this time? And then what about the question of insurance? I mean, if some of these businesses or all of them are insured, then they would be protected. So what do you think about that? If I was to throw that to you as far as those matters are concerned, from tax to insurance and then the full weight of the economic sustainability plan and whether it has the capacity to do what you think it can do.
For the issue of reducing tax, I think it's on a short-term basis, maybe 2 months, a short-term basis, to just help them to start off. It's not easy. Looking at the year, the year has been very turbulent and challenging for most businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic period. Our economy fell into recession, and then after that, government had to launch a stimulus package to see how they can reposition the economy. That has to do with economic sustainability plan. So the tax issue, despite our low tax to GDP ratio, I think government should do it on a short-term basis to help cushion the effect. That's primarily what it's done for, and then to help them pick up from where they have had challenges. And then the issue of insurance policy, most of these SMEs have not understood maybe the place of insurance for some of their businesses. So as a result, they don't see the need to invest in one insurance policy or the other. I think right now is the time for them to see how they can look into some of the insurance policy, maybe burglary insurance, maybe fire insurance, against any eventualities. So those are the things that they can do. Then economic sustainability, as you rightly said, has to do with what are the measures we need to put in place to get our economy to pick up after the whole issue of the economic downturn brought about by the COVID-19. So it's sustainable, but how government would help to position it for the long term will be the big question.
All right, great stuff. You mentioned the Youth Investment Fund. So what considerations will the fund have for small businesses that were vandalized in the aftermath of the violence following the protests?
Well, that has to do with what how government wants to help revitalize some of these small businesses that were vandalized. Primarily, the Youth Investment Fund is meant for this youth empowerment program to drive businesses, small businesses usually. But I think now government should give consideration to some of these businesses that were vandalized so that they can pick up. SMEs are key economic drivers in every nation. For middle-income countries, SME contributes 70% to the gross domestic product and 95% to driving employment. So I think now government should look at how they can consider these most of these MSMEs whose shops were vandalized due to the violence that was brought up to them.
All right. So, what are some of the actions that small business and policymakers alike can take to mitigate risk and business losses in the future?
The first has to do with enterprise risk management. Some of these SMEs should try and look at how they can adopt enterprise risk management framework to mitigate business risks that might arise in the future and then they also look at how to improve record keeping. Most of these SMEs do not have accurate record keeping, and it affects the businesses, especially in risk management, especially in identifying risk and then mitigating risk. And then they should also improve their corporate governance culture and also look at how to improve growth across all sectors and also look into technology. Technology is a key driver. We're living in a digital age. So for businesses to strive, technology will play a key role. So they can look at how to adopt technology to drive growth across different branches of their business.
All right, and so for the SME space, are there any bodies currently at the forefront of reform work for them?
We'll have a SMEDAN. That's one of the key regulatory body. I think this is the time for SMEDAN to stand up and look at how they can assist SMEs, how they can support them in terms of maybe providing fund, helping them to assess some of these funds that government would likely give to stimulus packages that government would likely give to SMEs. So I think this is time for them to stand up and support SMEs and look at how to ameliorate these losses and challenges they have faced in the last few weeks.
All right, Ugo, we still don't have a vaccine for COVID-19. We don't know what 2021 is going to hold, as far as next year is concerned. Are you optimistic? How do you think things are going to work out for SMEs going forward?
Well, with the way things are looking, I think since we're facing serious economic challenges, I can't make a forecast of how 2021 is going to be, but I think it's going to be bright. And what we need to do is to keep focused and look at how to address the present challenges on our hands and then be able to make projection for 2021.
All right. Public Policy Analyst Ugo Aliogo, thank you so much for talking to us about how public policy can help SMEs in Nigeria rebuild in the wake of the violence that we've seen, the aftermath of the NSARS protest. Thank you so much, Ugo.